Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Arch City Comics. I am Adam AF, and this is CG Jumpstart Between the Panels, your one and only place to get the inside look at what is to come from CG Jumpstart. Joining me, as always, my illustrious co-host, the #1 promoter in ComicsGate, Mr. Tinfoil Hat, Nick.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the show that never ends.
Aha, I wish that was the case, man. I mean, actually, the way we've got this planned, it might never, ever end.
Works for me.
Joining us this evening, we have the man behind the magazine. You know him as the Wizard of War campaign, Mr. Gat Hanzo.
Hell, brother, man, I always like the introductions here. I think last time's was a little better. I think you gave me, 3 or 4 different descriptions, right? And, of ways to kind of introducing me. But every time I come on here, you give me a great introduction, man. It makes me feel fucking good to be here, man. So hell.
Well, I mean, you are an honored guest. You should feel elevated to be here.
Come on, Adam. Ramp up the accolades for Peter.
I go on the war campaign show and I was like, well, here's Gat. Who gives a fuck, right? So yeah, man, I'm glad, man. You guys are, fuck, man, make me happy. You fucking like the way you guys introduced me, man. Put some spect on my name. I like it.
Hell yeah, man. You deserve it. You have earned it at this point.
Hell, brother.
Yeah, let's ramp up the accolades.
All right, let's ramp up the accolades. Joining us also, we have the man, the editor behind the book. He has edited many, many magazines in his time. He is the real deal. He is the original DPer. He is the real Steve Dye.
I actually meant to ramp up the accolades for Peter, but thank you, Adam. I appreciate that.
Well, you were next on my list.
Well, let's bring on Peter, man. Peter's the talent.
Peter is the talent. We are also joined by one of the most illustrious names coming out of the UK. They have their own brand name now called CG UK. He is going to be everywhere in 2020. CG Jumpstart. He is going to be in Rocket Gal. He has Wart the Wizard Volume 2 coming out. It is Peter fucking Gilmore.
All right. I'm joking. Good evening. How are we? It's a good evening.
Right.
All right. How's it going?
All right. Yep. That's me.
All
I'm
right.
Peter.
Yeah, that's me.
Taja Dodger.
Everybody knows me. Yeah, by the end of this year, everybody is going to be sick of me.
But
But,
I
you
don't
know,
know about that, man. You're going to be a household name by the end of this year.
I'm going to keep powering on through, bringing awesome artwork and just fun comics for everyone. Bit of mindless entertainment.
As you
Oh,
should.
no,
I mean, that's
no,
what we're
no.
all here for.
Not so mindless in places, but, mostly.
Hail to the chat this evening. Thank you all for joining us. We've got quite a few people hanging out with us already. We have Miss Mandy Summers. Hello, Hail Angel. We've got Wyatt Holiday, someone you're quite familiar with as well there.
Yep.
Jade Spider-Man's hanging out with us as well. Volt Cobalt, he's giving me shit because, we stood him up 2 weeks in a row, and he was not a happy camper, apparently.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. Things happen. We gave you Huerta last week, which was a stellar interview. Tonight, we see the return of Steve and Gat with the illustrious Peter Gilmore. So I aim to please, and I hope you walk away from tonight's stream with a big smile on your face and an even bigger erection in your pants.
I talked to Volt Kobold. Me and Steve talked to him the other night, man. He's a cool guy, man. He's got a really cool project that he's kind of like working on right now. So yeah, I mean, you might hear about him with a project of his own in the future, man. He's got a good idea brewing. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Well, that's awesome.
As a matter of fact, Vault, I know you're in there, brother. I took a look at it this afternoon. Very, very promising. There's some, it's good. So yeah.
Well, we definitely like to cultivate new creators here at Arch City. So if you ever want a forum to talk about your project, please hit me up in DMs. I'm pretty sure you're on Twitter. If you're not, you can always reach out to archcitycomics@gmail.com. Email me. We'll talk, brother. I love to hear from new creators. I love to see what the people on the ground floor of ComicsGate have to offer, because that's where some of the best stuff is coming from right now.
Vault's definitely got a solid premise going, and moreover, he's got it scripted out in a pretty capable fashion. He's got it paneled out. It's a good story. There's some good dialogue, some good narration. It's solid. So I'm, having only looked at the script for the first time today, think I'm endorsing this. Maybe even working on it.
Ooh.
Wow.
Nice.
That carries a lot of weight right there. Not only a Steve Dye endorsement, but possibly having Steve Dye on your creative team means a whole lot these days.
Yeah, that's big. That's cool. Yeah, I take completely trust Steve's opinions of things. He knows what's what.
I can't let anything get in the way of letting me ride on Gat's coattails. But other than that, I think I can make some time for this project.
Well, hey, you got to do what you got to do. Follow the money, man.
Well, here's the thing. Like, with Steve, we got a good thing going on. We work pretty well together. That doesn't stop him or even me in the future. After Vestige drops, I'm a writer for hire, just like Steve's an editor for hire. So, this is the way things goes. If people are going to kind of build these other working relationships, that's how you're going to build up ComicsGate as well, man. You get out there and put your work in front of as many people as possible. So Steve wants to edit. Whoever is good at it, he's going to do it. If someone wants to hire me as a writer, I'll write the shit out of any IP you put.
You could be the hardest, the busiest working writer in ComicsGate, actually, thinking about it. You got your name on a lot of cool projects.
Well, I'll pat myself on the back a little bit here. I actually said that to Ro. I was like, hey, Ro, I'm the James Brown of ComicsGate, brother. I'm fucking, like the hardest working man in the fucking business, So, essentially, it is what it is, man. Like I said, I want to do as many of my own projects as I can. If someone else wants to hire me in the future, if they like what I'm doing with Vestige and kind of respect what I'm doing, then yeah, this is what we want to do, right? We're all here to kind of make money. We're all here to try to improve everyone else's projects. And there's a lot of artists out there who, honestly, I'm not trying to be a dick, but they could benefit from hiring a writer. So it is what it
is.
That's
100% true. Not to knock down these guys' ideas, but sometimes it takes a little polishing to get that idea from amazing to perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And there's a lot of guys out here in ComicsGate, not just me, who are great writers. You're going to see that in 2020. There's all kinds of dudes out here that are working on these brand new projects. They're coming up with their own shit, but they could also work on something that someone else is bringing up. Like I said, if an artist needs someone, there's plenty of guys here in ComicsGate. So look around, you're going to find someone.
Yeah, that's basically how I got hooked up with Sim. Obviously, we were friends beforehand, and then he decided, he was like, hey, I want to hire you on as editor for my script, and we started working. He's like, you know what? I want you as co-writer for my script. You're fired from editor. I'm hiring Steve Dye. Fuck you. But I want you as co-writer. And I said, okay, that's a deal.
Well, I'll speak to that. It's interesting how these things work. Each different collaboration is like being in a different, it's like being in a different band, right? You're going to interact differently. Gat and I went very much full script with Donald, and that was one form of working. But right now we're collaborating with Peter, who's here tonight. We're collaborating with Joe. We're collaborating with Doodle, and Sim's a total pain in the ass. That guy not shut up. But we're totally collaborating with Sim, and each one of those working relationships is like a lot of fun, very interesting, and very productive, each in their own ways. So when you get that collaborative process going, there's different ways. I feel like you're getting the best of all worlds. Joe's given us some amazing input on some of the theological overtones of Bullet Makers. On the other hand, with Peter, we're like, this is a horror fantasy realm. What can you draw with a crow? And then we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But you get that, and then you're just like, dude, and so on and so on. It's fun to get these different groups together and figure out a different way to make something. And I don't know. So far for me, it's like it always gets better once you get the input of the people you're working with.
Oh yeah,
I kind of. Sorry, go ahead, brother.
No, I was just gonna say 100%. but go, please.
No, I was just gonna say, going into this, man, I was thinking to myself, hey, you know, the same thing I did with Donald, I'm gonna be able to do with all these artists. But now, having worked with 5 separate artists on books and a couple on covers, I know that working with each artist is totally different, and so I have to adjust my process to what they want to do. Kind of like there's kind of a give and take there, you know. I work the most closely with probably Sim and Joe, like as in most intensively, you know. With Peter, you know, we have these kind of limited sessions where I can tell Peter exactly what I want. He puts it on the page, and it ends up fucking like exactly what the fuck I want. Usually every single time. I don't think there might have been a couple minor changes to whatever we've done, right, Peter? But
Yeah, only
for the
minor
most
stuff
part,
though. Yeah.
it's been pretty seamless. You know, working with Donald, it was full script. With Peter, it was, you know, I mean, it was not a full script at all. You know, we were
No.
kind of building it together as we went. You know, with Sim, he has kind of half creator's rights to Crash Course, so part of the story he's responsible for as well. So it's not, I kind of can't even take the lead there on that. So that's totally different. Like I said, with Joe, we kind of work the most closely together. Me and him, we sit down and he kind of, well, this is the whole reason why I put him on Bullet Baker in the beginning, right? Not to go off on Joe but I will for a second. Was, you know, Bullet Maker was originally intended for someone else. I didn't know who, but it wasn't supposed to be for Joe. I talked to him one night. It ended up being for Joe after I told him the story, and he was just really like, it was like this story was made for him. You know,
when we talked to Joe about that,
divine intervention, you know, like I was on the verge of saying, hey, let's go talk to this other guy. Let's get this guy on the hook.
Yeah, we had somebody else in mind. And then when we talked to Joe that night, it was like, this is totally you, Joe. We're doing this.
And so that, it kind of changed around my whole IP because I didn't know who I was giving what at that point. And then it actually kind of fell into, well, with Peter, we were originally going to have Peter do something different. But then I thought to myself, no, Peter, you know, he's really like, monsters are his thing, you know, like he's kind of like Passion. He's like one of those guys. I mean, he can draw everything, but for what we're doing with this IP, it was perfect for Peter, you know. Another thing that Peter's great at is, I mean, you've seen his fucking backgrounds. Like, holy shit, some of the shit he can do, you know. So where we're going to be exploring, kind of the places we're going, this fantasy realm that we're going, it's called Sominus, right? This was perfect for Peter, I thought. You know, it's kind of put his total creative skill on display. Let's put it that way. So yeah, it's different working with everyone. Each artist has their own kind of own specialty, so to speak. And so if you can use that to its fullest capabilities, that's how you're going to win.
Oh, 100%. You know, this is comics. Like, this is a visual medium. So you've got to let your artist shine, you know, because I mean, you know, whether or not you're a great writer or not, people are going to come for that artwork. You can knock the story out of the park, but if the artwork doesn't follow suit, you're probably going to end up falling on your ass.
Well, I'd say this. The artwork is usually what brings people to it originally. The story's what's going to keep them there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely agree.
If your artwork's not going to live up to the level of your story, you're best writing novels and not doing comics.
That's true too. Yeah.
But I would say there's someone out there for every story is what I would say. Someone who can draw every story.
Yeah, right person for the job. I mean, I've been asked to do a lot of different things recently, and I've turned a bunch down because it's like, you don't want me. That's not me. I don't, you know, my style isn't going to fit that. So I pointed them towards someone else instead, because, you know. So it's not just a money grab. I do, you know, pass the work around.
That's very humble of you, sir.
Right, Peter? Though, I mean, there's someone else though that you know, kind of particularly what your style and what you're used to, what you're
right
really good
artist,
at, you know?
The right artist for the right project can really add a lot of input in how you break down the story beats. You know, there's, you know, you can adhere strictly to a 3-act structure or whatever. Certainly, if you're doing comics, you want to pay some attention to what's on the left-hand page and what's on the right-hand page. I mean, come on. But you know, I mean, there's been a lot of times when me and Gat have been like, well, we need to do this, and we need to do that. How are we going to do it? And it's really been a lot of fun and a very creative process to just like reach out to Joe or to Doodle or to Peter or to Sim and be like, this is what we're trying to do. What do you bring to it? And, you know, like Peter has brought back some amazing story ideas. You know, we scripted it loosely and gave it to him, Gat's story. And he came back and he's like, well, what about this? And we're like, that's an interesting question. Let's discuss that. And you know, it's really good. The artist can give you a lot of story, a lot of input into how to tell your story in the most effective way possible. And if you actually develop a good working relationship with an artist, you can also kind of dictate that this is what we need to do, figure out a way to do it. And then they'll tell you, how about like this? And then you'll be like, cool, moving on.
Yeah, I mean, the way I kind of like to work the best is exactly the script I got from you guys. It was not too much detail and not too much information. You know, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. It was, you know, right, this happens on this page, go for it, sort of thing. You know, with a few panel breakdowns and whatever. You know, but mostly just letting me do my thing. And it's the same with the, you know, I'm doing Rocket Girl with Wyatt. You know, we're kind of, it's that kind of thing as well. It's, you know, I need this to happen, say this, and there you go. Do your thing.
Yeah, it's I would think that would be a better way for an artist to work anyway, was just let you like whenever sometimes I'll give Sim little challenges, or I'll give another artist little challenge, like draw me your interpretation of what I'm about to describe to you. Not this is what I want to take your talent and put it in this box and make you this thing. I want you to make me that thing based on what you see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's a very symbiotic relationship between a writer and the artist when it comes to comic books. You know, you've got to work together. You can't just dictate, okay, I want this panel here, I want this panel here, I want it like this, like this is exactly what should be there. Like, no, that's not how it works. That's not how good comics work anyway, you know?
No, and it's been great having Steve as well, because Steve's like got just as many awesome ideas, and he, not a go-between, but kind of like, he'll say, oh, that's what Gat's done's cool there, and what that's this idea that you've come up with, Pete, is cool, and then he'll, I don't know, works his magic and just says, what about this?
Yeah, exactly. Man, we got a lot of awesome people in the chat tonight. We got Skits Comic hanging out with us. Jack Straw has made it. What's up, Jack? Mogwai Centurion, hail, brother. Of course, Pan Boy, the Vigilante, is here as well. Fatty057. Yeah, I seen you on EVS's stream the other night. That was real cool. Good to see you. Ani64, Wilberforce Rooster, everybody who I missed, thank you guys. War Campaign, of course, Mr. Ro Kabir. Good to see you guys. Thank you all for joining us. Hopefully we can keep you entertained for the evening. So let's look at some of this gorgeous artwork that we can expect from. So, Gat, first we're going to show the logo, because I always refer to this as the Turtle Book, and apparently that's not what the actual book is called.
No one can get the name right. I don't know why no one can get the name. And here's the thing:
Awaken.
Steve told me, he was like, "Dude, you're gonna confuse a bunch of people." I'm like, "Nah, people are
It's called
smarter than that.
Awaken.
You gotta go more."
It's Elysian Minds, right?
Elysian Minds, yes.
Elysian.
So, yes. So it's a basically it's a wordplay on Elysian Fields, right? It's Greek Roman, just basically the dream realm, right? So you know, it's just a little minor wordplay with that, this is essentially what the entire book's about. It's dream and nightmares come into the modern world, into modern reality. It's essentially the basics of the book. So you will see, you know, nightmare creatures. You will see kind of these good creatures too, not necessarily bad, you know, but freakishly weird dream creatures also appear in this book. it's really, I mean, it's fucking, this is a really cool idea. Like I said, you guys before this, I probably put the third most amount of time into this other than Vestige and Bullet Maker. This thing is pretty well developed, man. Like I've really built a lot of the actual world in this. I took a lot of my time going back and referencing this stuff. So, man, you know, I really like this fucking, this project, Elysian Minds. Like I was also telling you guys, all my other stuff is kind of written with an ending. This is kind of one it's open-ended. I don't have an ending for it yet. It's not really something that there's a bunch of spoilers with either, right? So I can pretty much openly talk about this IP, whereas with Vestige and Bullet Maker, man, there's a lot of plot twists and a lot of stuff I just don't want to talk about, and it makes it really hard. With this project, shit, I can talk about anything almost. So
spoilers, Gat.
Nah, there are no. That's what I'm saying. There are no spoilers in this, really. I mean, I'm going to show you, you know, the first 12 pages in the magazine. And it's basically kind of the origin story of how this stuff started, right? It takes place in a modern setting, modern world. It's actually just before the millennium is where this is actually happening, right? So when we go into the next installment of this, we will be actually caught up modern day. So this is roughly 20 years ago. And there are medical experiments being performed on unwilling test subjects that are just happen to be children. And this, they're trying to unlock dormant parts of the mind. You know, there's scientists say, you know, you only use like 10% of your brain, right? Well, they're trying to unlock other parts of the brain, you know, and it's pretty advanced medical procedures. They're creating some type of serum, right? And it unlocks part of the mind. Now, when they do this, the first 2 test subjects, they don't have success. They die. The third test subject is going to be kind of the focal point of this 12 pages that you'll be seeing in Jumpstart.
Actually, spoilers. They have to be children.
They have to be children.
Well, this is the thing. I can talk about it, right? You want me to go into it, Steve? I can. So, essentially, it's a play on imagination. So, what happens is when the part of the mind they figured out they unlocked actually deals with imagination and with dreams and with stuff like that, right? And it only tends to work with children because if you're grown up, these things are no longer palpable. They don't seem like they can be realistic. In order for you to bring these things into the real world, right? You still have to be able to believe in something like this, right? These nightmare creatures, these dream creatures. Only children still believe in the Tooth Fairy and Easter Bunny and things like that. So it's essentially this, you know, they're bringing something from their imagination into the real world. Grown-ups don't have that ability, right? They lose that ability at some point in their life to where they, you know, this just doesn't work on them. It'll kill a grown-up. They did test on grown up. All of them died, you know, and so they figured out we have to use children. The only way we can do it is unlock a young mind, right? So the scientists, which we'll be introducing in the first 12 pages, have kind of figured out this thing, right? And so you'll be introduced to test subject number 3, which is kind of the first person to have his mind unlocked. And so what that does is, excuse me, it draws one of these creatures from another world, like a beacon to his mind, right? It sort of attaches itself to him. He becomes kind of like his guardian, so to speak, over whichever person they attach themselves to. And like I said, they're all children. Sometimes it's a good being. More often than not, it's something evil, something very nasty from this other world. And it takes a hold of a human like a host. And, it gives this human superhuman abilities and powers. But yet it also affects them as they grow, right? So you'll see, in the future, like I said, no spoilers, Steve. It doesn't really matter. In the future, you're going to see, yeah, well, whatever. In the future, you'll see these kids that are grown up and they've had these spirits, these otherworldly beings tied to them, right? For a certain amount of time as they've grown up, and the people who have these evil entities tied to them, they all look like they're heavy drug users or they have other issues, right? Social issues, things like that. Whereas if you have these nice creatures attached to them, you see the kids that grown up and they have these nicer creatures kind of attached to their being.
Divines.
They grow up and they tend to have good luck. They have good jobs and they have their shit, kind of their shit together and their head in the right place. So it's one of those things, man. It's like I said, it's so much. There's so much I could fucking give you tonight. Whatever you want to know, we're spilling all the spoilers, Steve.
Yeah, you can't really spoil a story that doesn't have an ending to yet.
That's
exactly.
True.
So there are no spoilers. Steve Dies' spoiler card is revoked for the evening. Give it to us all.
Fine. The evil creatures are phobiters. It's taken from Ovid's Metamorphosis, and it means frightener. The good creatures are referred to as divines. Okay, fine. Continue. Spoilers. Whatever.
Well, actually, they're going to be referred to as wickeds and divines, phobiters overall. So they're all phobiters. They're all from this other realm, this realm called Sominus, right? Mm-hmm. Which is where these creatures live. It's where these... it's like I said, it's kind of an interdimensional thing. It's connected to our world, and they're only drawn to this world by the kids' unlocked minds. Like I said, it's kind of like a beacon call sent out, and the first being that ties itself to one of these children is kind of, like I said, it's inheriting a host, right? Mm-hmm. So no other being can come in. That's the only way it can bring itself into the human modern world is through its host, right? Kind of an evocation. So this is what happens. One creature, one host. Yeah, that's pretty much the rules of the thing, right?
Okay, yeah.
As long as we're spoiling the whole damn thing, let's just show some pages, show some art. Go ahead.
All right, let's show some artwork here. We've got some pages to show you. Peter already went ahead and spoiled some of it if you've seen his tweet earlier, but we'll go ahead and
it's too late now. It's too late now.
You can't spoil this, I'm telling you. You really can't. You can't. What we're doing in this magazine is we're kind of, like I said, we're showing you the introduction, right? On top of that, we kind of had this, and this is me working with Peter together. We kind of had this brilliant idea. I was like, damn, Peter, I want you to draw something like these beautiful like animals and creatures. How the hell can we do this? And it really wasn't written into the original story, but now we have this beautiful Abenaki creation myth, right? Which is directly tied to dreams, and the Great Spirit dreamed all the creatures of the earth into existence, right? And when he woke up, he thought, wow, this is pretty much a nightmare, right? Everything's chaos on earth. How could I have dreamed this, right? How is this a good thing? So that's basically what this creation myth is. He summons the great turtle from the void, where he builds the mountains and the earth upon the back of the great turtle, and he falls asleep on the back of the great turtle, and then he dreams of all the creatures of the earth. And like I said, he dreams them into existence. And so this is the Abenaki creation myth. They are a Native American tribe, and I believe Algonquin nation. I don't remember if they were Iroquois or Algonquin, but I think Algonquin.
Yeah. I think so.
And I don't want to fuck that up. Don't get me wrong. I've fucking researched that shit. I should know it, right? But I'm pretty sure it's Algonquin. Like Peter's verified, so I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Yeah. This is how this whole story starts off. As we go into this Abenaki creation myth, and Peter gets to draw the thing, kind of bring it to life, and it's fucking beautiful.
The turtle book.
The turtle book. This is the first image that I seen you working on, and that's what you've got on your screen right now. And we'll go ahead and look at the black and whites.
In fact, I think I was drawing this on War Campaign, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah.
And so I thought, what's better than to start a horror book than with this beautiful creature, right? This is Gat's idea of horror. Like I said, we're going to get into all that. We do set. It does get a little gore. There is a little gore to it, but we use a lot of context to show what we're doing here. My horror books aren't about guts and stuff, although there will be a fair share of that type of thing, right? That's just really not what it's about. We use horror in the proper context, I think, right? And so, I don't know. I wanted to start it off with something that's kind of really light. It's kind of like historical. You're not really thinking horror when you open up this thing, right?
No.
And so we get into it pretty quickly. By the end of the 12 pages, You kind of know what you're in for. So
Yeah.
it's kind of got
Shit
that
goes
shock value, I think. You
Yeah.
set the scene, something timid, and then we have the shock value by page 12.
The opening pages are a thing of beauty, but Peter will soon bring the horror and the guts.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Ooh. Oh.
But I mean, yeah, look at the beautiful turtle. I was like, yeah, draw me a beautiful giant turtle, Peter. And he was like, shit, I gotcha. You know, like that's he's been waiting to draw a fucking turtle for a while now. You know what I mean?
Always wanted to.
See? So, and I think that's pretty much what sold, let's be honest, Peter. He was like, turtle, I'm in on the turtle, right? So,
Yeah.
I don't know. But nah, like I said, it kind of sets the scene. We have this whole creation myth where he tells, you know, it's the building of the earth and all that. But then by the end of page 12, boom, we've got the kind of meat and potatoes of the actual main story, you know? It's fucking great. I'm actually really pleased with how this turned out.
Oh, by the way, thank you, Ro.
I wasn't like sold. I'm sorry, cut you off, Peter.
No,
I wasn't sold on it.
Sorry, carry on.
After seeing Peter's work, yeah, I'm about to praise you, brother. Like, dude, like I said, I started putting a lot more work into this thing myself after seeing kind of what he's doing with it. So yeah, man, I love this fucking project.
Peter. Quit interrupting Gat praising you to thank Ro for praising you. For fuck's sakes.
Gotta thank the Gaylord.
Hail the Gaylord. Hail Gaylord.
Hell, Ro. You grumble.
This really
And
is.
by the way,
beautiful
there is a big
piece.
announcement tomorrow on War Campaign about CG UK. I'm not going to give you any spoilers on that, but I guess there's a huge announcement, and so it'll be on War Campaign tomorrow. So everyone check that out.
A huge announcement.
We're intrigued.
Yeah.
We're intrigued.
I know what
Yeah.
it is.
You know what it is? What the fuck?
I dread to think.
Wait a minute.
It's going to be huge. I heard it's going to be huge. It's going to shake the foundation of CG UK.
It is girthy.
Ooh.
It is girthy.
So spoilers, no spoilers on that, but a little, you know, get you ready for tomorrow
tease.
night. Think about that. Yeah.
Ooh, what a tease.
Prime Minister?
Oh, goddamn. 3D Robin goes, Blitzkrieg 2? Oh, hell, brother.
Hey, yeah, by the way, shout out to 3D, brother. Hell. Yeah, he is the man, the mind, and the hands behind a lot of the logos. He's the guy behind the JUMPSTART logo and ELYSIAN Minds and so forth. And beautiful work and a pleasure to work with. I like that dude.
And he actually just sent me the updated version of Elysian Minds logo. So we will preview that right now. There it is.
Yeah, man. I love that thing too.
Ooh.
3D does great work. That's another dude, like, he's made what we do so much easier, man. Not that Betty wasn't good. Like, Betty created my original Vestige logo, and Betty's great, you know. But with 3D, like, this dude, literally, it takes him 5 minutes. I tell him what I want. He fucking turns out something beautiful like this. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's tweaked it since then. He puts in a lot of hard work, not just that 5 minutes, right? But
he's amazing.
We get to the gist of it pretty fucking quick. He's really a professional dude, man. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he's amazing. I've been able to offload a lot of the design work for JUMPSTART onto 3D. I've been like, hey, man, I'm doing this, and, you know, I could do that, but you could do it a whole lot better. And he's like, yeah, mate, give me a few. And then he's just like right back to me with like, pick one of these. And I'm like, let me run this by Gat. And then we're there. That's great. It's really good.
And he's another one that's part of CG UK, is he not? He's a Brit, right?
He's a Brit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man,
he's going to be shocked to the core tomorrow too.
British Invasion 2020 right here. It's happening.
They all do have to convert to Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah,
I agree with that 100%.
Standard. I mean, Peter has done it quite well. And again, 3D
Yep.
Robin, I got to give him props for that. He totally lives. He may live across the pond, but he lives his life according to the schedules of the demands of ComicsGate. So, you gotta
Yep.
love that. Yeah.
I've got a whole world clock set up on my phone now, so like I've got everybody's time zone, so I can tell exactly when what everybody's talking about, and what time it is in Britain, what time it is in the UAE, just everywhere. I need to know, what time am I bugging you?
It's mostly the Australians
I
and
would
the
say the
Zealanders
British
that have
guys
the
aren't
hardest
the problem.
Yeah, it's the Australians
It's
and
the
the Zealanders.
Australian guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all you
Zealanders.
Australian guys out there.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
live too far in the future.
Yeah,
They do.
some of them
Yeah.
can do it, but some of them are just so far ahead of us that they can't quite come back to where we're at. Yeah, that's
All
true.
right, so I do have a question real quick for Gat. You said that these entities, and when they come through, they can only really make it work with children's minds and stuff.
Yep.
Is that because that kids are more open to things as far as could possibly be real? Like when you're a kid,
Exactly.
magic exists in the
That's
world.
exactly it.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm
Yep.
saying with that.
Yep,
That's the
that's
only
exactly
reason why the serum will work on children under a certain age. We'll find out it's only like under a certain age too. Once you get into puberty, your teenage years, your
Mhm.
brain chemistry changes, and therefore the serum doesn't work anymore. You're more likely to get kind of pushback from it if they use it on someone who's older. And so
Yeah.
there will actually be cases of that, right? And I will show kind of what happens to people who receive this treatment later, kind of too late in life.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are going to be
Mhm.
characters that appear in the book that's actually happened to, right? They
Doesn't
still
go
have
well.
one of these creatures tied to them, but yet it's not the same effect. So
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
go well. Yeah.
So
Okay.
it kind of runs on the same lines as if you think of like ghost stories, children are always more susceptible to the influence of the paranormal than adults are.
exactly. That's exactly what we're doing here. And which is why, like I said, the initial kind of maybe even the first couple installments of this thing, they will be kids and then teenagers. But then eventually it's like, yeah, these people will be grown up. So we're kind of showing, I want to show a kind of progression of years, but do it in a quick enough manner, but not rush the story still. You see what I'm saying?
Are these things? These things are kind of like poltergeists, then, because poltergeists are pretty much the only entities that can attach themselves to other people and follow them around, other than like truly demonic or angelic forces. And since these are coming through dreams, would they be more poltergeisty than demons and angels?
Kind of. You'll see that these things also take different forms too. Not all of them are actually can take a physical form. Other times they do. Other times they just change the individual and they kind of accumulate the powers of whatever Fobbiter is kind of inside of them. That they're hosting.
Yeah,
They'll
that
just
would be
take
more
on
of a
the powers
demonic
and
spirit.
abilities.
Yeah, that would be more if you can't see it, but it takes on the powers and stuff. From the stuff that I've researched on the occult and the paranormal, that's more of a demonic or angelic type presence than if it takes a physical form. That could be like a spirit animal or something like that.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain element of each individual
Lost
involved in
you.
this experience. They've got a certain capacity.
Mhm.
They've got a certain level of imagination, and when and where comes into play.
So it actually depends on the subject themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and keep in mind what these things are. Actually, it's an alternate dimensional realm that's tied to us too, right? So these are actually things that exist in this other realm, but they can't come into our human realm. They can't unless they have a host, And like I said, even those depends on what type of creature you'll see. Kind of as we go along and reveal what these things are that start attaching themselves to these children, you'll see the reason why they are actually different. And they might, like I said, some of them physically manifest themselves while others do not. That's all going to be incorporated into their story.
Yeah, I think it's obviously Gat's story, but in as much as I can follow his wizardry, the capacity of an individual host has an effect on how much one of the phobitars might manifest itself in, the quote unquote real world.
Very cool. We got Jade Spider-Man in the chat. He says, I was sold at the background of this story immediately. Yeah, this is definitely something
cool.
that you're going to want to keep your eye out on. I mean, Gat, every time we talk on this show and, you know, we delve into these stories that you come up with, it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. And just when I think like you can't top yourself, here we are talking Elysian Minds, and I'm like, holy fuck, dude. This is utterly insane.
And it's you know, and it's so in depth, the way, you know, he's gone so far into it. And
I'm obsessive compulsive, guys. When I do stuff, I sit down for like sometimes 2-3 days at a time until it's finished. You know what I mean? Like I won't stop until it's finished.
Have you ever seen that movie, A Beautiful Mind?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot like that. Yeah, it's less gay, but it's a lot like that.
They're more gay depending on what day of the week it is.
I'm telling you, a couple hours ago, he's like, "Hey, man, let's." He's like, "Hit me up, send me, you know, let's talk. You know, we're gonna go on later tonight." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then he's rewriting this story that we're talking about, and I'm like, "Just stop it." And then he's like, "Well, what was that detail?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm looking because I've got hard drives. At this point, I've got external hard drives filled, stacked to the rafters with Gat's various ideas." And then he's like, "Hang on, man, I'll find my notebook." And then he's going through these spiral notebooks, and he's like, "Wait a minute, this one's rap lyrics. No, that's not."
That's serious. I was like, hold up, this whole one's rap lyrics. What the fuck is this? It's obviously not.
This is in the wrong place.
He's like, "Wait a minute, I'll find it." And then he's like, "No, these are rap lyrics."
See, I was hoping he'd just got a room filled with like images and bits of scraps of paper stuck to the wall and bits of string going across.
See, that's what I imagined. That is exactly what I imagined.
He's got stacks of spiral.
You know what it is? Let me tell you exactly what. Yeah, there you go, Steve. I have like fucking just stacks of notebooks that are filled with just shit where I've been 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning high as fuck. I'm like, oh my God, just all of a sudden something hits me. I'm like, I'm going to write an entire fucking world around this. And I'll just sit there and do it. Like I said, it'll be 9-10 o'clock in the morning, right? I look up and then like, damn, I should probably go to sleep. But I'm in the middle of doing this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
can't stop now.
I can't, man. I can't stop. It's no point. Why? When inspiration fucking strikes you, you can't fucking stop, man. You're wasting it, you know? That's why I don't know how other writers do it, but you know, some people say they sit down and write so much a day or whatever. I don't. I do it when it fucking comes to me, and it seems to come to me a lot.
That's how songwriters usually do it. Like I know that Maynard from Tool and Ozzy Osbourne are the same way. If they wake up, they'll just wake up out of a dead sleep at like 1 o'clock in the morning if they are asleep, and they'll sit there and they can't go back to sleep until they get it all out and they get it all perfect. Because if they don't, they can't turn their minds back off. And I have that problem too. When I get like Gat, you and I have had many a discussion about history and stuff like that, and I'll start debating myself kind of in my mind, going through historical facts and having a back and forth and stuff about different things that were going on in a time period. And I'll literally sit there and spin myself to death in bed trying to go to sleep because I can't turn my mind off. Because I'm having that conversation.
There's no point, really, huh? No point in trying.
Yeah, you're having that conversation in your mind. And even though it's with yourself, until I get up and either watch something that's even remotely to that to what I'm talking about, because sometimes it is hard to find stuff about 17th century like Austria and stuff like that on the TV, but you know, it does happen sometimes that you'll have that conversation, and so I have to go and find it and watch it and then like kind of talk over the TV and stuff like that before I can go back to bed.
I've been fortunate enough that I've written a few pieces that were relatively well received in whatever genre that they were targeted at, and each and every one of those came from scrawling something on the back of an envelope when inspiration struck. You know, I full circle to what Gat says. You know, I mean, I'm not a huge Truman Capote fan, but there's some good pull quotes you can get from the guy. And he said, "That's not writing, that's just typing." And the guys that I write 2,500 words every day, whether I want to or not. I'm like, that's not writing.
Yeah, that's
just
not
typing.
writing.
No.
Yeah.
No, most of my ideas on pieces of scrap paper, like you said, the back of an envelope, whatever I've got closest to me, a napkin. If that's what's nearest to me, and I've got my
ideas,
pen.
my ideas come to me when I'm rolling 80 mile an hour down an interstate freeway or 65 mile an hour through a 45 in a winding mountain road, and then I just like, fuck, that's good enough, and then I'll pull that sumbitch over, put it in park, and then grab a scrap of paper and be like, remember this, dumbass. And then
Dude, shit, I've got the notes on like the back of like route manifest from when I was a salesman. I'm driving, like you said, 60 mile an hour down the road with a piece of paper on my center console, and just straight chicken scratch is what I'm trying to what I've got in my head.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why I finally decided to just pull over, because I've got a lot of chicken scratch shit where I'm like, what the fuck?
What's that? What does that say?
That's what I wrote while I was driving with my knee through traffic. It's hard to read. So, yeah. But yeah, man, I mean, it's all about the inspiration, and it's all about like following that inspiration, I mean, do you just want to have a flash of it and then let it go? Or do you want to be like Gat and be like, yeah.
No, because
I'm going to follow this into the dark.
When you purge it out, if you can, like you said, pull over, whatever, stop what you're doing, purge whatever idea that is out of your mind, get it onto paper, onto your computer, whatever it may be, scribble notes. That's when the magic really happens. If you just write down like, oh, I've got this idea, and you write down just, 2-3 bullet points, when you come back to it, you're not going to have the same drive that you did when you first had that idea. It just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah,
That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and plus I've noticed that I can only speak for myself on this, but I've noticed that if I do the bullet point method, even when I'm like doing the debates with myself and stuff like that, when I try to like departmentalize it with just the bullet points or put it in a box or whatever, I lose some of the point that I was going to make in that bullet point because you'll just like, once it goes out, it kind of like fizzles or out of sight, out of mind type of thing. But when I sit there and just like, have it out with my type it out, write it out or something like that, other than doing the bullet points, I can actually get the point across a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's largely better not to shorthand it, but to go ahead and get down not only the essential thought, but the turn of phrase, and to get it down. I mean, you might go back and massage it later. I mean, certainly you will if you're a writer, but you want to get down the full thought.
Well,
not
I always tell the story about the original Vestige that I brought to you, Steve, and how I was like, yeah, I got a graphic novel for you, Steve. Well, no, I had a novel for you.
Yes.
That's what I had. It was like, brother, you already got your fucking story written. You got 8 volumes. I'm like, do I? Okay. Well, I've wrote, that fucking my first initial sit down. I essentially outlined. I wrote the entire first and second book, and then outlined the entire first story arc in my first sitting of Vestige. So I don't know how long that took me or whatever. I was probably in a daze, right? But this is what it is. You should see this notebook with the original Vestige scribbles on it. You'd be like, holy fuck, look at this shit.
I know that it was a marathon session of me typing up notes while you were telling me about it. Yeah. I know that was hours and hours. Yeah.
I like to call those creative Bibles. Like you've got your Bible of Vestige, you've got your Bible of Elysian Minds, all that stuff. It's just all your just crazy.
Well, here's the thing. I think all these are in the same one. I think all 5 of these are in the same book, if I'm not mistaken, and then a little bit of Vestige spread over to another notebook. So yeah, I mean, that's a fucking hell of a Bible. If all these things come to fruition, it will be a hell of a Bible, right? Just getting it off the ground's one thing. Like we're thrilled to death just to be able to do these things, right? To present these ideas to people. If all these turn into actual standalone books of their own, holy fuck. I mean, I was ambitious, right? But You got to be if you want to accomplish something. So here
Oh,
we are. I
100.
got 5 IPs.
Yeah, 100. You have to be ambitious. I mean, come on. I mean, we're comic book writers. The best comic book, like, if you think like an omnibus, that size, that just literal volume of pages, when it's produced in the mainstream anyway, a lot of times like those stories take 10 years to produce, to actually get out there and tell that entire story. But that's what it's about, man. I mean, these are big ideas, and like you said, you put so much time and effort into delving into the background and creating these worlds that all these characters and thoughts exist in, that it has to be that big.
Yep.
Well, when you get a guy like Gat, like a lot of us, certainly like Gat, something that, and I may be missing a step here or whatever, but I don't think I am. You've got a guy like Grant Morrison, and he wanted to be in a punk band. He wanted to do this and that, and he did, and achieved some success. But then when he finally published his first work, he achieved tremendous success. And he made enough money to buy a house and to take a year off and take psychedelics. Like went on his sojourn, right?
Yeah.
And then after about a year or so, what did he do? He came back and he started writing more comics. And he's never really stopped writing comics, because that's really where, he took a year off with notable success, and then discovered once again that his passion was doing this world building, doing this creation, bringing his ideas to fruition that are in his mind. And it's been, decades now that Grant Morrison, he hasn't taken a year off to go traipse across the Andes. He's just like, I got stories to tell.
Yeah, you talk about a guy right there, Grant Morrison, who, a lot of these guys who started off, in like in the 80s, they hit their heyday, and then while they still might write, they could never quite capture the same magic that they did back in the day. Whereas Morrison, like you said, he'd never stopped, man. He wasn't a one-hit wonder. He wasn't a one-decade wonder. I mean, any comic that he's got his name out on now, I will buy, because I know it's going to be high-quality shit, and it's going to blow my mind by the time I'm done reading it.
He's never faded from relevance, and he's never, gotten stuck in his rut.
Exactly. Yeah, you see a lot of those guys that, they do great work, but eventually they fall out of relevancy, or like you said, they get stuck in that rut. But him especially has never hit that low point. There's not a book out there like, oh, you might say this wasn't Morrison's best work, but it's not a bad thing. It's just, it wasn't his high point. And he's never ever hit a low point in his career. I mean, look at all the other writers out there that have just faded into nothingness because they just couldn't capture the same magic twice. They couldn't capture that lightning in a bottle 2 times in a row. But he just does it.
There's not a bigger fan of Frank Miller than me. But God Almighty, I don't want to read anything he's writing now. It's just like, whereas Morrison has been,
Frank did it more than once, though, so I guess he technically doesn't fit that mold, right? He's
not quite, but I feel what Steve's definitely saying. If you read his stuff from back when, it's incredible. If you read his stuff from now, it's like,
I mean, ain't no Ronin. You know what I mean? Come on, it's just after a while, though. Even it's like, I think you're right. Maybe there's not too many writers. I don't know what Morrison's most famous for, right? But There's just always going to be something that other people like more than others. With Frank Miller, what did he do last? He was doing that Xerxes shit or whatever. Like it was a spinoff
Well,
of
I mean,
300.
300 was great, and obviously Sin City's superlative and the Batman stuff and all that. But the All Star Batman and Robin was like,
Oh God,
it was funny,
cringy.
Yes, yeah, funny. Maybe
I'm a goddamn Batman.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was funny. I don't know. Art was great. Anyway,
if you ever have to emphasize something like that, you're not that person.
Well, I'd say some guys shouldn't be writing other people's like already kind of regular established IPs. They need to be doing their own. I couldn't do Batman. You know that?
well,
No.
I mean, only
Ronan.
Ronan. You're not going to beat Ronan, and you're not going to beat Sin City. But full circle in what I'm trying to say. Morrison has never not been relevant, and what's his best arc that remains arguable, ongoing. What's the best work he's done that remains arguable, ongoing. That's kind of where I see my brother Gat. He's going to be one of those dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and plus, I don't think
That's the thing.
I wouldn't want to see Gat do like Morrison's Batman. I would want to see Gat do Gat's Batman.
No, but that's the thing. I don't think I could even do it, brothers. You know that? It's like handcuffing my mind. It's not that I don't know Batman. I fucking know Batman just like everyone else. Of course, I'd have to go back and religiously pour through the canon.
Well,
even though it's handcuffing my own mind, that character's already been done. You know what I mean? To me, I think here's maybe the problem with the mainstream that no one's going to bring up, but I'll fucking say it because you know what? I'll say fucking anything I want. I think some of these fucking characters are old and stale, and everything that you can do with Superman's been done, and everything you can fucking do with Batman's been done, and then you sit there and you wonder why no one wants to read this new woke bullshit they're producing, man, because everything good's been done with them. You know that?
Good point. Yeah,
like they're recycling all the shit. What was the top seller over the summer? Right? What was it? Fucking zombie DC shit. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, the deceased.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? Because their ideas are fucking stale. This is why we are even here, man. That's why all of us have an actual chance. Because I think maybe just in general, people are tired of the same stale ass characters, even because you've already done it. And then even the people who love these characters, right? Not saying there aren't diehard Batman or Spider-Man or whatever. They're everywhere. But now they're even got used to the fact that they're cucks and they've been fucked for so long that there's no hope. You know that?
Yeah, I can attest to that 100%.
Their own expectations of the character that they love, and after a long time, these people are sitting there and they don't even like the hobby anymore. Then you wonder why no one buys comic books.
I can attest to that 100%.
Nobody could be a bigger fan of Batman than me. Nobody could be a bigger fan. I mean, lots of people could be every bit as much, but I love me some Batman. I love me some Frank Miller, but it's just I want to do the damn Son of Red Baron book that Gat came up with, and we're never even going to get to it. God damn it, we're never even going to get to it. We're never even going to get to it. So it's like how you going to beat Ronan Daredevil? You're not.
Yeah.
I want to do Son of Red Baron. Gat's like, I got other shit. No, Steve, we're working on this right now. And I'm like, what about Son of Red Baron? And he's like, fuck off. And I'm like, fuck. And so, he's right.
Because I've only wrote one shot in my entire writing career, right? I wrote Son of Red Baron one shot. It's a fucking amazing book. But it's also just a one shot, and I feel like it's a waste of time to write one shots.
It's so
I don't know if it's a waste of time.
Well, to me, it is. That's what I'm telling you. For me personally, right? Everyone else can have a different opinion. For my own time, it's a waste for me to write a one shot. I want to build these big fucking worlds that never end.
Well, why can't we?
If anybody knows somebody that can draw some biplanes and triplanes, send us some samples so that I can keep working on that because I really want to do Son of Red Baron.
Yeah, and I want to see it. And I mean, how many pages is it? Is it like?
I mean, do you remember what it worked out to, Steve? I don't know. It was like 48 or 60.
No, it's 96, bro. By the time
Was it that many?
I mean, that's a graphic
big
novel.
one.
That's
Yeah,
just
that's a
a
big
literal
one-shot.
graphic novel.
Dude, just get it out there. Do it. I want to see that now. I really
It's
want
a
to see
great,
that.
dude. It is a really cool story, dude. I wrote a manga too.
Groundswell for
I have an entire manga written. I've got so much shit, guys.
Dude,
Seriously.
Gat, once Vestige drops and you become an actual established writer, you can do whatever you want. If you want to do a one-shot graphic novel, people are going to buy it. So
yeah, but here,
I'll
try to explain it to you guys. So right now, Vestige and Bullet Maker, which are my two premier kind of upfront projects that I'm doing, this is what I'm putting my most attention to: Bullet Maker and Vestige. Right now, they're going to take me 8 years to complete. I got 8 volumes in each. Right, I'm only going to be able to pull off one a year. Oh man, that's way too long for me already. Right. And so you add in all these other extra things, which I want to do. I mean, I've got Crash Course, which I'm going to compile with Sim, which is, we're doing extra pages into that, which is kind of tying all the entire story together. I got that coming out. I got this thing with Peter that, we're kind of doing these installments with it right now. We don't really know we never really decided exactly what we were going to do with it. We were going to compile it or do, maybe, do shorter versions, 24 pagers of it, right? And do kind of, smaller issues and and put out a floppy as opposed to a graphic novel. We just don't know what we're going to do with that yet. And then there's the Red Baron one shot. I've wrote a fucking Russian ballerina assassin book. I mean, dude, you don't even get me fucking started. I've got so much shit, dude. Like, I've got the manga. I've got fucking Racist Angel. Which
Racist Angel.
No,
I cannot wait. You guys want to talk some Racist Angel tonight?
Angel,
brother.
I gotta go get.
That
a beer.
was
I
one
don't
of
want to do this.
That was one of the books you offered to me.
Yeah, so I was talking. Yeah, I was talking to Peter about that. Yep.
We've talked a little bit about this. I feel like in private. I don't know if we've actually done it on stream.
People are not ready for Racist Angel, but it would be huge. I think. So and then like I said, I've got the magazine that we were planning on doing quarterly. Like I said, we're going to find out what happens with that. We're going to see what kind of support we get. So, you put all that on top of me trying to do more than one Vestige and more than one Bullet Maker in a year. I got to find time to fit all these other things in somehow. Mm-hmm. That one shot is like way, it's like 8th, 9th on the list. You know what I mean?
Well, so it's 8th or 9th on the list. Like, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You've got that in reserve. If you've ever got the time, you've got the extra income, to produce said book. Yeah, then you do it.
Yeah,
it's
it comes down to, hey, are people do they like Vestige? What's the reaction to Vestige, the first one, right? And then are they going to support my future work? I can't make Vestige, volume 8 happen, if people don't want to read it. So, there's always that too. Like, I'm pretty confident. I keep telling anyone, hell, this is going to be an amazing book, and it fucking is. It's going to blow people's minds. People are going to love Vestige Universe, period. But it's like, you can't depend on anything. You can't count your chickens, Yeah,
that's true.
Yep.
But as that being said, I've been counting my chickens because I got like fucking 8 IPs. I got all these books done, Like, if people want me to write books, I got them already in the bag,
Like I said, that's not a bad problem to have.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Because so far, every IP that we've talked about, that you've told me about, is amazing. And
well, I'm glad you love them, brother.
Well, but the whole thing is like, this is ComicsGate, man. Like, this is where you try new things that people don't see in the mainstream anymore. We don't have these comic books like we used to that blow your mind and elevate your imagination. But you've got the ideas that fit that description. That they can literally,
and not just me though, right? It's like everyone. You talk about Peter here, Rocket Gal. You're not getting that in the mainstream either.
Well, that's true.
That type of book, anymore.
That's true.
You know,
You're
like
not
all
the
of
only
us.
person.
Look at Narwhal. You know the shit that he's doing. You
Yeah.
ain't getting that in the mainstream. You know what I
Uh-uh.
mean? Sim, Blood Hunt, even that you don't get that no more. You know, when's the last time someone talked about Blade?
Mm.
I
You
don't
know
know.
that?
Think
about it.
When
He's
the
filling
Wesley
a lane.
Snipes movie came out, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Sim's filling a lane with Blood Hunt. People love that type of shit. You know, so.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is where it's at, ComicsGate. Dude,
Yeah.
we've got all these fucking people. There are 30, 40, 60, 80 people here that are all fucking just off the hook with ideas, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you hear stuff like it's been going around on Twitter today about the Marvel employees who haven't been missed 5
Yeah,
paychecks.
you seen that too?
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh my
Crazy.
god.
I
And
mean,
there was one dude.
That blew my mind, dude.
There was one dude like talking about it, and I'll be honest, I don't keep up with everyone who works at Marvel anymore, so I don't know who he is. But I was talking to him, and I said, "Well, this is why the indies and like crowdfunding and all that is important. Go indie, stop complaining, do it yourself, sort of thing." And he's like, "Yeah, but I've got a steady paycheck." It's but they're not paying you.
Yeah, but you don't.
Yeah.
You don't. Obviously.
don't.
A steady
Yeah.
paycheck actually arrives in
It
the
shows up.
It's unimaginable to have a guy. I mean, if you're working for Marvel at a corporation that you would imagine to be that size, and then the guy in payroll is telling you, "Oh, well, I'm not payroll anymore. Disney's payroll now," and you're just
Yeah,
like,
I saw
"That's
that.
fine,
Yeah.
but where's
I
my
saw.
fucking check, man?"
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's just it's unimaginable.
Well, a
And
lot
then-
of it has to do with the fact that they can't break the chains that bind them as far as I'm working for Marvel. They get caught up in all that glitter and stuff, and they
Yeah.
can't understand and figure out that Marvel's never going to let you write the stories you want to. Marvel's never going to let you draw the way you want to if it goes past a certain point. They're never going to let you color what you want to. The only way
exactly.
that you will ever get to do what you want is when you are the boss. Once you
Yep.
break those chains, though, and smash through that, Marvel means nothing. DC means nothing. You and your work, and it's speaking for itself, is the only thing that matters. And as soon as these people figure that out, they're all going to come. And then it's going to be like it'll be like when everything when the first round of the big indies came out, and we had all these great ideas and all this great art and all this great passion and color and everything just coming out. And, that's when everything will just explode more than it is. But before any of that can happen, you've got to break those chains.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, one of them
Go
was
ahead,
saying to me, "Oh, I tried the indies and I got stiffed by whoever was putting it together. This guy had done 20 pages or something, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I got stiffed by by whoever was doing it, the publisher or whatever." And I said, "So you put a team together yourself? Find a couple of people you trust." And then I obviously threw in his face, well, 3 of us together made $100,000 book last year. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, Peter here he's in the 6-figure bitch club. He's in that club. Gat came up with, he's like, "Hey man, I think I got an idea," and I'm like, "That's more than an idea," and then that's $75K, and we're working on it. We're working on it. We'll get there, Peter. We're working on it.
yeah,
But,
man.
maybe.
Yeah.
They talk about. I mean, this is a little bit inside baseball, but a lot of people will say war campaign. Oh, that's a couple of dozen trolls. No, bros, I got a couple of dozen DM groups that are capped at 50 that just roll like a roulette machine in my DMs all the time. And I can't even keep up with any of those rooms. I drop in and I'm like, "Hey, dude, hey, hell, brother." But it's hundreds and hundreds. Maybe, I don't know. We're working our way up to thousands, aren't we? You look at what Peter's got on the screen. I want to see some more of Peter's artwork, by the way.
Hang on.
But also there's the,
scroll down
I mean,
to it.
it's,
Scroll down
you
on
look
that
at, you look at, well, Gat talks about, 60, 80. I don't know. I don't know how many creative people there are that have been capped by the system or are, not happy with how things are going in any kind of storytelling. I do know this. You look at a guy like Gat, amazing. You look at a guy like, Spartan Scotsman, I think is in the chat.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at what Liam Gray is doing with Odie, and they're doing like 200 pages plus.
210.
Yeah, it's like a whole different model. I think it'll be extremely successful. You know, with Vestige and with Bullet Maker, we're pretty much committed to 8 volumes of 48 pages, and it'll all look real nice on your bookshelf if we even get there from 8 years from now. But I think we will. But also
Get there in 4. That's what I want to do. That was the whole point to where I was going to end it earlier. That 8 years that it's going to take me for Vestige and Bullet Maker, I'd love to fucking make it 4. So
I want to do Son of Red Baron. God damn it! But you know, but I mean, there's all these different ways. You know, I mean, look what you got there.
Mm.
Look at what you're showing right there, Peter. Look at that eyeball.
I was hoping that we'd have the first shark book out, but damn it. You know, where's the shark book? Well, we've got shark.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all thought that one certain shark book wasn't coming out, but I think your shark book's gonna blow the other shark book out of the water.
Well, I mean, you know, this CG Jumpstart, I mean, I have 4 great, like I said, different genres, different IPs in it I'm introducing, but it's not just me. There's so many more like great things. I mean, you guys have already talked to the Diaz brothers. You've heard about the Lost Tales. That shit's amazing.
Yeah, man, I'm super
Fowler, Fowler and
Fowler and Willis.
Rob Willis are doing. Yeah, I can't fucking remember his name. How do I forget the man thing?
I did the same thing the other day. I fucking spaced on Willis's name for whatever reason. Like I started talking about it and my mind drew a blank when I got to like we got Matt Fowler and
whoops.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, I should have my notes in front of me.
You know, we've had every creator on, and I think we're going to try to get Rob and Matt on when we do the Jumpstart push for the promo and shit, right? Yeah. So, but you know, we never really talked to Rob like that. You know, really hang around and do the circuit like normal people do. You know, so
Rob's looking after kids, sleeping, and then working. Just working.
Well, I mean, you know, that's the you know what the Diaz brothers are doing is great. It's amazing stuff. You know, you've got, Fowler's work with Rob. Those are some great pages, man. I really want to see that whole thing. You know, I'm fortunate enough to have 8 pages of it. You know, and I've got that on lockdown on my hard drive. But, you know, and then you got Wyatt Holiday. You know, he's getting ready to deliver his project right now. You've got so many really great creators up in here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Super Harem, I don't know, you know, that's going to be soon. I don't know if they're going to go into, if Joe's going to have to draw extra pages for that or whatever, right? But that's going to be delivered. Sim's going to be delivering soon.
Sorry, Winger. Joe's going to be busy drawing Bullet Makers. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to get Bullet Maker kind of springish. So it'll be a couple months after, or it'll be the month or the month after that we actually fulfill Jumpstart that we'll be launching Bullet Maker. So
and I've got to give a mention to Carl who's doing Mary Boys. I mean, that thing looks awesome.
Yeah, that looks great, man.
Fantastic.
I love that project.
And just like a whole crazy, I love that style. It's just
yeah. I absolutely do too. All that hooligan shit. That's really great. Yeah.
And then, you know, there's going to be so many projects that launch in February, March. People are going to be like, holy fuck, I got literally anything you want. It's going to be there. It's going to be a whole, it's like your ComicsGate shop of itself. If we had our own shop, this is basically what it's turned into. You got everything you could possibly want out of ComicsGate now.
Yeah, February, March, April, there's so much good stuff coming. So much crazy stuff.
And honestly, that was the whole thing. Like you used to be able to walk into a comic shop and there was something for everybody. And now there's something for one small minority of readers that don't really even read comics anymore.
No.
And then CG came along, and you know, I gotta say, like, not a lot happened in 2018 as far as, you know, like producing books. 2019 definitely ramped it up. We've seen a lot of new creators stepping out of the void and saying, "This is what I've got. Try my book out," and they were all good. You know, there was literally, out of all the books that I backed, I was only disappointed with 2, 2 books out of maybe what I think I received about 30, if not more.
All right, I actually want to
It
I want to
is.
circle back around to naming names. I'm interested in the 2, but before I do that, I'm really excited about getting Ardana. I don't know if you say Ardana or Ardana. I don't know which, but either way, it looks like Ardana to me. But it also looks like the kind of thing that drew me into the LCS, for years and years, and I don't see it there now. So I'm looking forward to that, I'm really looking to see more of Fowler. What the hell are you doing, Gilmore, with that Stardust thing? And then, shout out to, I also really appreciate guys like fucking Drew. I call him E. But, he bet on himself. He had an idea for a story. I believe he originally developed it as a movie idea, and then, it kind of like turned into a comic idea.
That is correct.
But he went out and, he had an idea. He had a dream, and he went out and hired people. He bankrolled, he bet on himself. I think that's something that can't be overlooked at all. If you want to work with a guy like Peter, you should probably be prepared to compensate him for his work. When we wanted to launch Vestige, we didn't approach Donald with empty promises. You bet on yourself. If you believe in this, you can be a success.
Dude, that's 100% true, and that's a good lesson for any kind of up and coming creator, anybody who wants to produce a book through ComicsGate, is bet on yourself. Put the money out there. I know you might have to save for 2 years. I don't know what your financial situation is, but you might have to save for 2 years before you can actually do something and produce a book. But be ready. That is the big takeaway, I think, from last year, is that you should be able to produce that book in 3 months' time once that campaign closes.
When Gat and I first talked to Drew, he literally showed us a completed book.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's had that done for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had it ready. Had it ready to go. He had promises to ship by Christmas, and by God, I got my book before fucking Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got mine, and it looks great.
It's fantastic. It's a wonderful read. I love Captain Love. I am a true fan. I've got the fucking T-shirt.
It's a great story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And moreover, it's a really, really good read. And moreover, again, it's a guy that just believed that he had something to bring, and he made it happen. It's really impressive. I was very impressed the first time I talked to him, and I continue to be impressed. I got the T-shirt and everything. Fuck's sake. Yeah.
And you can't talk about sort of turnaround and fulfilling books and stuff without mentioning Vinny, because
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's like I ordered it and
I got it in 2 days.
Crazy. Got it in the UK. It was like 2-3 days. Turned up. I don't know how he did that. Magic.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Witchcraft, but it works.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Dude,
Vinny treats Indiegogo like a storefront. Like, you want that book? There it is. You got it. It's yours. It's in your hands. Yeah, excellent turnaround. I got to give Vinny super props. And his books are some of the highest quality books that you will get, as far as, paper quality and obviously print quality, art quality, story quality, all of the above. That dude is fucking on it.
His we're going through. We're using Vinny's printer, so we heard all the good things about Vinny's books, and we were like, "Well, we'd be fools not to use the same people."
You're the third book then that I'll get, including his, that'll be from that printer. I'm highly impressed with it. Grim Reaper used it as well, and then there'll be y'all, and of course Vinny. But that's
what matters. Like that, if I want you guys to get Vestige and be like, "Damn, this is a pretty book. Like, it feels good in your hand, smells good, feels good when you open it up. It's nice and crispy." Fuck yeah, man. That's what I want you guys to have.
Yeah, we started from Malin's printing specs, which he was kind enough to provide for us. When we saw what Vinny was putting out, and this is, I mean, Malin stuff is great, but when we had a chance to go domestic and be in the same ballpark financially, and also have that level of quality from Vinny's book, that definitely, yeah, man. I mean,
Yeah,
hell,
the
Vinny.
only other books that have the only book I've gotten that's been that kind of quality for a good price was Cheryl Roberts' first book, Guardians of Berloff. That book is the quality on that book is fantastic.
Yeah.
I've got
Well, yeah, like what Adams got up here. I did not know that, but yeah, the print quality on Captain Love is absolutely top
Astounding.
shelf. Yeah,
and I
That was
like the fact that it's perfect bound. I love a good spine.
you hear that,
There
guy?
you go.
Yep. Spine, like perfect bound books with spines and stuff like that. It gives it a little bit more, and I don't know. It just to me, it just makes it separates and gives it I don't want to say a touch of class, but it
Gat,
does do
you
that.
see? You hear what I'm saying, Gat?
Oh, let me ask you this, Nick. How pretty would a fucking chromium vestige be?
I could Gat what the
shit.
fuck
Don't,
Nope.
don't
I want perfect bound books that sit
Yep.
on the bookshelf in the all area
Don't take that
uniform, and
hook.
Gat's just like, but what if it was chrome? And I'm like,
No,
don't
I
take
didn't-
the
They're so
hook.
fucking dope. They're so dope.
they
You
are.
can't
and,
do perfect bound with Chrome though.
no,
I know.
and
I
they
know. That's
are.
what
perfect bound is greater than chrome.
it
Right?
would never
Yeah.
replace the originals, right? Like I said, I'm going to do all of them are going to be the same quality, perfect bound. So, they're going to look pretty sitting there. That's the plan. But I'm just saying, like, what if there's like a kind of like a collector's edition chromium at the end, where you can get the first one with that beautiful EVS cover, right?
I'd buy it.
Maybe we even do a different cover. Maybe I have Donald actually do kind of like his take of the original cover, because he never got to do the cover. It's EVS's, So maybe I give Donald a shot at it and kind of release a Donald chromium of the Vestige one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
and
still
I'll pay again for that, but I
Yeah.
paid for a specific thing, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
Yep. But
I agree. Well, that's what you're getting, brother. But yeah, I'm just talking
ya.
about future, man. Like everyone's talking me out of chromiums, and I want one so bad.
I understand that, no man. I get you. Everybody wants what they want, but I want what I want. If I can have a majority of my books be perfect bound and have a spine, I'm gonna be happy, and I'm gonna buy whatever you come out with again, as long as if it has that perfect bound thing, because I do like I have Chromium Cyberfrog and I love it. It's beautiful. It's everything you would want in a Chromium, except I can't take it out and read it. I have another copy to read, so I didn't have that problem. But it's like, it's just gonna sit. It's gonna sit in a spinner rack, and it's just gonna never do anything.
I love me a spinner rack, but I'm all about my bookshelves.
Yeah, well, at the same point, though,
bookshelves.
it kind of to me that kind of kills the spirit of a comic book because it's not being read. You know what I'm saying? You're not touching it. You're not going through it. I'm old
It's
school
your
like
collector
that.
copy, man. You got to get at that point. You need 2 of them.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's like that is my collector copy, and I understand that, and I get where all this is coming from. But it's just to me, there's something about a spine that gives it I don't know, just that little bit more.
I love this. I love a good graphic novel. I love that setup. Downcast, from Clint Stoker, Sweetcast. I thought it was great. Good story, good artwork. The printing quality was off the charts. Exact same quality as Captain Love came in. That beautiful kind of matte satin cover, good pages, good binding. I don't know if he used the same. I don't know what service he used, if he used Mixum or not. But it was definitely top shelf. Fits in with any graphic novel that you will pull off of your local comic book store shelf.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, we have every intention of doing volumes 1 through 8, Perfect Bound, exactly the same. Bullet Maker and Vestige are both going to be like that. But like I said, maybe down the line, I get my way. We'll see.
You know what? As a collector edition, like reissue, I think it would be really fucking cool to get Vestige #1 with a chromium cover.
That's what I was thinking.
Honestly, I think your logo for Vestige would work good with a chromium cover. I think that
would look cool. Yeah,
wouldn't it? Yeah, like that. It would just pop off so damn well with that chromium
That's a
cover.
great suggestion. Yeah,
But I would like to pay you for that. Does that make sense? I would like to give you more money for that chromium cover than what I paid for Vestige #1 the first time around, because
they'll cost me more, but I'd just sell them for the same price. I think.
well,
You know that?
That's completely.
I'll be honest with you. Chromium is expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Paid a pretty penny to get this shit done. Because we checked in on that shit, and it would have cost us probably double what we were doing at Mix'em. And you guys are saying you like the Mix'em books better. You see what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, even though we checked into it, we knew it wasn't a viable option, kind of, because, like I said, it's literally double the fucking price of what you're paying per book.
Well, that's why EBS made it such a high stretch goal. I mean, he had to make sure that he was going to make money off of it. He knew that it was going to cost him a good amount of money to do that. So that that's why it was a decent stretch goal. It wasn't just everybody fucking gets chromium. It was we were this amount of money, then y'all get chromium.
Well,
and I'm not saying it's not like we couldn't actually afford it, but the fact that the price is that significant of a difference, man, it's like, wow, holy shit. And like I said, you guys are literally telling me you prefer Perfect Bound, and like you said, you also cannot do that with the chromium. You can't do
I appreciate you, brothers, because that's what I've been telling you.
I can give you a price right now. There is Caesar just launched a new campaign to get rid for the it's the Cyber Frog
second chance.
Yeah, he has got uncut chromium cover sheets, which are the Salamandroid and the original issue 1 at $60. That's for the sheet plus shipping. So
wow,
that ain't even a book.
And the book, that's no book.
Cool, that's really fucking cool.
He's got the Cyberfrog Chromium comic for $40, or you can get the sheet with 2 of the covers, but no book at $60. That's just the cover. That's just the sheet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, bros. All I know is that even though I've been making a comfortable living in the publishing field for some time, I don't understand why they can't bend that shit twice and glue it on there. I really don't. But
it's just the thickness of it, man. I mean, it's thick. It's got that sheen to it. If you bend it too many times, then you've got you end up breaking it, and you got the actual paper, inside showing.
In an entirely another life that I live simultaneously, I hang out with a bunch of motorcycle racers, and we fabricate the fuck out of shit all the time. I know machinists that could make you a chromium cover, for fuck's sakes.
Well, now you're just talking like straight like steel cover.
Well, I mean, be it as it may. I mean, you can pound tin in any shape you want for F6.
Gat, how about you do the entire collected edition with a like legit just steel cover?
Well, that would now you're talking. Now you're talking. But I don't know. Yeah. It's always ultimately up to Gat. But at the same time,
shipping.
Well,
it might cost an arm and a leg.
We have rivet. We have riveted
$400 for shipping. But yeah,
I would do that for Bullet Makers before I would do it for Vestige with the steel cover.
Dude, I'm saying riveted.
That would fit kind of nicely actually with Bullet Makers.
Yeah, have like casing put into it or something like that. That would look
Dude, I'm saying. I'm saying like a titanium back. Titanium back with riveted hinges to brushed aluminum.
That would be so awesome.
Not only is it a book you can read, you can also destroy your enemies with it, because if you hit somebody hard enough with it, it's gonna do it.
Be an intruder,
question is with Bullet Maker, are you going to do like a bullet, an engraved bullet as a
As
one
an
of the
add-on, like
as an add-on, an engraved bullet, just saying Bullet Maker on it, just hang it on a chain.
I'd wear that necklace.
Damn straight.
I'd wear that.
Wow, I never thought about that. I think that's
Hey,
probably
man.
their little. Probably
As long as
costly
we're
to
going back to the
produce.
90s, we might as well go back to wearing necklaces like pimps. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be
I mean,
dope.
it's a
You got a
good
shell,
call, right?
like a
Kinds
shell
of, like,
casing of
cool.
a fucking 45, hanging from your
Well,
chest.
there's like cool. There's like
Bullet
cool
Maker
stuff
engraved
that
on it.
fits along with that, right? The whole Bullet Maker thing. There's so much different things you can do with it that I've not. I'm just worried about the book right now. I mean, I think we're stick with like our basic. Hey, like we're doing a poster with whatever we do. We're gonna give away stickers with whatever we do, or maybe next time we're going to flip it and do a bookmark at least. We were thinking about that, but I think we're staying pretty basic with our tiering. People want original art from you guys, Peter. Like we've already discussed about Jumpstart. This is what people want, man. They want some of this original artwork from these guys, man. I mean, you seen that black and white fucking page of the dude being constricted, right? Like, holy shit, man! Like,
well,
that's what people want.
All these pages, there will be that, apart from one, because Steve Dye gets the first pick of the bunch. Because Steve Dye is fucking Steve Dye.
You can't have that one, though, is the thing.
Well, this one.
No. Because I'll just fire Steve.
I mean, wait a minute.
Whichever page I want. Yeah, I mean, that's really how it works.
You could have first pick, you little fuck. Whatever.
It still doesn't, there's like, it doesn't pick up all the fine lines. You can see this stuff here, but there's even finer lines in behind. So.
Yeah, man, it's fucking. But yeah, I mean, this is my whole point, though. I mean, you look at this work that Peter's put in on this, man, and what more can you want to buy than something like that? Like engraved bullets and all that. Don't even really mean shit. This stuff right here, he put his fucking sweat. I mean, his hard work into.
Well, I mean, I'll give you the used bullet casings. That's the issue.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying it's like, I don't know. I don't like to want to be a gimmick with my shit. I want my work to be about the books themselves, really, and about the artist. You know what I mean?
No, I
don't want to get too like Lone Star and all that shit when he was doing all like dog tags and all. Like, I'm like, bro, I just want to sell comic books. You know what I mean? Like, I want to sell comic books. Really good
give me a poster and give me maybe a sticker or something like that. Like,
man. Like, I'm gonna keep it fairly simple. And like I said, and also like the original art here, and people like head sketches too. They love that shit. So, I mean,
I do think
that's what we're gonna do. Basically,
if you're doing a fat page count, then a bookmark, please do a bookmark.
Yeah. That's what we were all. I saw who was showing their bookmark off the other day. I can't remember who the hell it was. It was on War Campaign, I think.
Sim did a bookmark for 7 Legions. Well, he's done a bookmark.
That's what it was. It was Michael Beacon the other day showed Sim's bookmark, and it looked fucking great. I was like, wow, yeah, let's do Bullet Maker bookmark or something. I was thinking, because that can replace the sticker, or whatever.
Yeah,
maybe we can still.
Everybody wants a War Campaign sticker, so we needed to do that, but now we've done that. So
I mean, at a certain stretch goal, you just throw the sticker into everybody.
Yeah, because it's, like I said, that type of shit, it does cost money. It's not like it's free, but it's not a whole bunch of money. So you're right. At a certain stretch goal, we can just give you free shit.
Can I bring it back around to bank on yourself? Can I do that for a minute?
Sure.
Here's something that there's about 4 or 5 people know, but I will now tell the story publicly. Because it pertains to my negotiations with Peter regarding art.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I want to do this chronologically or not. Give me a second. Fuck it. It's easier. I'll do it chronologically. Do you know who the first backer of Vestige is?
Steve Dye.
You know who put up 3 bills to get some Donald DeLay art on something he'd been working on for 9 months?
Probably Steve Dye.
Thus the negotiations with Peter. From here on out, me and Gat are getting a fucking page. That's just how it goes. I mean, we're
well, I just didn't even think about it, right? So I'm doing Vestige, the project, and I don't even have time to think about keeping a piece of it for myself.
I was
You know
so
that?
invested in it by the time, I mean, investment goes far beyond financial, does it not, brothers?
Oh, it
Oh, yeah.
does. So,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So obviously, I got the inside line. And yeah, I clicked back. I clicked full tilt boogie because I'm like, this is going to work. And it did, thankfully. I mean, I knew it would. I knew the story. I knew it would. I knew Donald was great. And I knew Gat's story. So I knew it would. But that's again back to, hell to E, Drew Love, whatever the fuck, hell to White Holiday, hell certainly to Vinny, who gets his shit done on time and fulfilled, and to all the guys that put in the effort to believe in something, and moreover to believe in themselves. And I'm done. Hell.
Hail.
Wilberforce Rooster in the chat, he says, will we be able to get Peter's art?
Yes. There's a simple
Absolutely
answer.
will.
Yeah. 100%
This is what we're doing with the tiers in Jumpstart. I think, Peter, if we're going to offer a certain amount of artwork from each of the guys, from the main contributors, right? As far as tiering wise, you guys will be able to purchase. You take your pick of who you want. If you want Peters, if you want Sims, if you want Joe's, if you want Doodles, they'll all be up for sale. And I think they will also have even extra pieces beyond that for sale. So if they're sold out on our tiering, you can always hit these guys up privately, and they have a bunch of pages. I'm sure they'll sell you.
Oh yeah, yep. Everything must go.
I like that. Everything must go.
It's a fire sale. Serpents not included.
So I did have.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Well, no, I was kind of saving this because I'm not even sure if I want to answer this on air anyway. But Chimera, hey brother, he asked, what were the 2 books that I didn't like?
Oh yeah, I wanted to circle back around to that too. Let's talk about the books we didn't like.
I know one of them.
I didn't like those grocery store bubblegum machine dog tags I got for being part of the Lone Stars first squadron. I can tell you that was junk.
Oh, that wasn't even what I was talking about. I had 2 actual books that I was not very happy with.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should I? I don't know if I should. This, we don't usually do. This isn't like a drama stream. We don't normally call anybody out here, but
it's an opinion. It's just an opinion. It's your opinion.
Why
not?
True.
Let's do it.
Okay. So the 2 books that I didn't like, the 2 books that I was unhappy with as far as backing once I received them. The first one was Bigfoot Bill. And not because of Doug TenNapel himself. It was the book itself. I didn't think the story was interesting at all. And on top of that, the binding of this, beautiful book that he produced. Very nice hardback, very nice. Cover was gorgeous, paper quality was fine, but the binding itself actually started to fall apart. And
Really?
The glue itself started coming apart.
You're not the only person to say that, man. You're not the only person to say that. So
this is the first time I've heard it, though.
Oh,
this
really?
Is amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mine's actually the same, and it's really weird because my high school yearbooks, produced by Jostens from back in the late 50s, they're still in good shape. But
Damn.
yeah, I'm an old motherfucker. But yeah, my binding's pretty jacked on that as well.
Wait, were you in black and white, brother?
Yeah, brother. Yeah,
sure
I grew up on Indy Griffith.
Black and white.
What are you talking about, brother? Everything I know about life I learned from Andy Griffith show and John Ford Westerns before there were colors. Anyway, yeah, my binding is also pretty jacked. And it was a kid's story. It was a kid's book.
It wasn't even. I wouldn't even say it was a kid's book. I mean, the whole the pooping in the suit and appearing in another dimension. I didn't need to see that. I don't think any kids really need to see that.
So,
Well, that's kind of If I was like 6 or 7 year old Steve, I probably would have been amused by the pooping
Yeah,
page.
I guess that's true. But that was my biggest issue with that. Was as nice as the book looked itself, was that after reading it twice and reviewing it once, the binding immediately started coming apart on it.
Yeah, I only did mine once, and it's Anyway, go ahead.
The other book that I was unhappy with was Black Forest.
Oh,
that's rough.
Mike?
It was Mike Angerhauser.
Yeah,
Black
rough.
Forest was an absolute nightmare. The print file was completely fucked. There were blurry pages. There was caption boxes that got cut off in the printing process. The printing didn't actually reach the edges. The entire thing had a gutter on it, which isn't not the worst thing in the world. But when you take into account that gutter process cut off some of the words that you were supposed to read, that's where it becomes an issue. There were run-on sentences. There were all kinds of editorial issues that gave me a fucking headache. Now, I'm sure Steve Dye can relate to this, being an editor. When you see things like that,
Well, it's a painful subject for me. It actually is. I like Mike. I really
do too.
like Mike.
No, I'm not. This is nothing to. I'm not. This is no kind of attack on Mike whatsoever. This is just the quality of the printing that he used. It was perfect bound. There was nothing on the spine of the book. Normally you see, Black Forest by Mike Angerhauser, down the spine. There was nothing of that sort. Like I said, there was the gutter around everything. It cut off panels. It cut off text. There were blurry pages.
Mike would have, I agree. I also wish that Mike would have availed himself of my services and my friendship. And I also, I feel like I'm not a guy that cuts I'm not a cut a guy slack kind of guy. But dude went through a hell of a year and he felt rushed to get the book out, and he went through one hell of a year. I mean, I've been the subject of a great many involuntary surgeries, and they suck. And he actually marched himself into the hospital to have his head cut open. So, I remain a fan of Mike and a friend of Mike, and I agree that the production of the book was disappointing, which is doubly over a disappointment because the concept of the book is excellent, and I actually quite like Mike's artwork. I really do. It's kind of got this Ralph Steadman thing. I don't know if people.
It does. It 100% does. And I love Ralph Steadman.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not trying to attack Mike in any.
No, I'm not disagreeing, because the production quality. I mean, he did fine in terms of the paper stock, the cover stock, the bind, all that. He really needed, and I'm not trying to be the real Steve Dye editor right now, but I just wish that he would have kind of had an editor.
My first paid gig in ComicsGate, Black Forest, the cover.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this one, the Cecil cover.
Yeah. I've got that on a hoodie, bro. I love my hoodie.
Yeah, that was
yeah.
Cecil and the Reaper and Roe.
Yeah. I wished I could say I was wearing it right now, but I'm actually wearing a Hart and Huntington motocross hoodie. But I've got that on a hoodie. It's a great image. You did great work for Mike. Mike's a good guy, man. He's just,
100%.
Yeah. I mean, dude.
Like I said, I'm not trying to cut Mike down in any way, shape, or form. I did the book itself. Like you said, I love the subject matter. I'm German born and raised. I've got a little bit of British in me, but the whole, German folklore, it drew me to that book. I loved how he put it together. I love his erratic artwork.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. It's just the printing of the book itself is what actually let me down.
It frustrates me that he sent me, he's like, here's the finished PDF. And I'm like, you didn't send us the printer already, did you? And he's like, yes, I did. And I'm like, because I would have gladly helped him. And I'm not the end all and be all or any of that. But,
No, but
I admire the guy's
like,
heart and
hey,
spirit, and he kind of jacked up the final. And again, yeah, the paper quality is great. The cover stock's great. All that other stuff. It just, there's some pages that look great, and there's a lot of low res stuff in there. It was just like, God forbid you got to be GATS editor and keep your file system straight, but you got to make sure you send high res stuff to the printer. And
yeah, you don't want your text boxes to look, 1080p, and then the pages underneath that text box to look like they came in your bunny ears.
I think that Mike wanted very much to be his own man, do it himself, and at the same time fell a little bit. And me and Gat did too. Betty was supposed to be the letterer for Mike's book. And, I love Betty's memes, but getting the logo right wasn't all fun and games. And then Mike had to fall back on somebody else after Betty pieced out. And I don't know. It could have been a much more cohesive book, and it wound up being a little bit piecemeal. But it is still just, it's the product of a guy that was battling a lot, retiring from the force after being a 911 responder and this and that. Yeah, I know you're not trying to be hard on him, Adam, but I just got to give him,
Not at all.
Props to Mike. He said he was going to make a book. He made a book. He got it.
He made a book, and I hope that his next one is similarly well received and fulfilled, and that he can keep working on the polish and all that, because
yeah,
I don't know.
I think you said it perfectly. I wish he would have had somebody just to guide him a little bit, of the nuances of actually printing a book, because he's never done it before. So first campaign blues. It's happened to a lot of guys out there. He's not the first one, but I'm being completely honest here. You asked me, what 2 books was I disappointed with? Those were the 2 books. I was disappointed with Bigfoot Bill because of the quality of the story and the fact that this, beautiful looking book wasn't quite as up to par as it should have been. And the other was Black Forest, which was, again, a beautiful looking book. It had a great story, but it fell flat in some of the most basic ways.
To me, Bigfoot Bill fell short in terms of fulfillment of concept and actually, I guess, giving one fuck. I guess I don't know. Mike's book, more, there was a little more execution would have helped a lot. I don't know. It's an interesting question. I've backed like 60 some projects. I don't know.
Yeah, same here.
Me too.
Yeah. I don't know. The only thing that I can go back to, and I'm not trying to pile on because we're moving forward and it's a dead subject, and that's that I did receive Graveyard Shift and Lone Star in a reasonably close time proximity. And one of them felt like a quality product. I don't totally love John's story. I think his artwork's great. I don't totally love the Graveyard Shift story just yet. I'll wait on volume 2 and go from there. Mike sent me some bubblegum machine dog tags, and then made me wait forever for a 3-pack, which, to be honest, 3-pack wasn't bad, but he made me wait forever for it. I had no problem at all sending my shark book off to Stu for Steven because I was just like, I don't want this. I don't want this. So you have to deliver the value. You're asking people to pay a premium. You have to deliver value on that premium.
It's true. That's 100%. You definitely have to deliver that premium because a lot of these CG products, it's more than what you would pay for a comic at your local retailer. There's ifs, ands, buts are way around that. So you have to make up for that in quality of product, whether that is story, artwork, or all-encompassing product itself, print quality, binding quality, that kind of thing. It all needs to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, it's like who was it? This told me Canals told me these are like concierge type books or something like that. These are these books are everybody who gets these books. These aren't like you're going to get a book that's mass produced. Now, I do realize the irony of what I'm about to say, but these are more like before pre-print. These are like pre-printing press books, even though they are made on printing presses. These are like something that were like hand painted and hand lettered and stuff by a monk. That used to be the only way you could get a book done was having somebody actually sit down and do it by hand and go through it before the printing press was invented. That's what ComicsGate books are to me. It's got to be a different type of quality than what you can go and spend, $5 on. If I had to make a choice between spending $5 off of something from the big two or I don't know, $20 off of something from ComicsGate, I'm going to spend that $20 because I know the paper's going to be better. The ink's not going to come off on my hands. The covers are going to be good. They're not going to fall apart, or my book's not going to fall apart. Like I bought the last comic book I bought from IDW was a Transformers comic book. I got it home, read through it once, and then I put it under a couple things to get it to flatten down a little bit. And when I got it back out to reread it, one of the staples fell out, and pages started coming out. I was like, all right. And that was the last IDW book I bought. I was just like, we're done with this.
Yeah, I hate staples.
Yeah, I can't stand them. But it's that kind of detail, that kind of attention to detail and stuff like that. It's like I always say, it's quality, not quantity. I will gladly pay more money for something that is better quality than the run-of-the-mill cheap stuff that you can get at any LCS. You know what I'm saying? It's like I want that quality. I want that high-end paper. I want that high-end cardstock for the covers. I want your art. I want the ink to stay on the page. Is that so much to ask for the ink to stay on the page? I mean, when you open up a comic book, it's not supposed to be all over your hands when you're done reading it. And it's like,
absolutely.
I those are the things that I haven't gotten I can't say that I've been disappointed in any of the books overall that I've gotten. There's a few things in a few books that if I were nitpicking, one of them, there's a double spread page where there was one, it was the only thing in the book that messed up, and it was blurry. And then there's another double page spread. It's the only thing that's messed up in the book, and they got the print file a little bit wrong, a little bit off. But other than that, every book that I've gotten from ComicsGate has been fine. It's been great. It has at least met the expectations that it was pitched to me in. If you can get me to buy it, based on the expectations that you say up front, and then if you meet those expectations, I'm going to buy from you again. It doesn't matter because you've at least done that. You know what I'm saying?
By and large, I'd say most of the products I've received have been fulfilled to expectation, but there's certainly been some that have been filled above and beyond expectation.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are, I've got, my last show before the new year, I did my, my top 5 books of ComicsGate, and but it was based on the criteria that these books had to go above and beyond and knock my socks off. And they had to be, the criteria was I had to have a physical copy. They had to, like, Cyberfrog was not on there because that book was exactly what I expected it to be. There was nothing really surprising in Cyberfrog because you know that what you're getting is going to be really, really good. Whereas most of the rest of ComicsGate, especially as the new creators come in, they're unknown quantities. So when you come in and you have this book and it just blows my mind, that's something a little bit different. That's something a little bit special that you can only get in ComicsGate. I mean, ComicsGate, like I said before, ComicsGate makes the mail fun again because, I mean, I listen for my mailman now. I know what his or her car sounds like depending on what day it is because I'm constantly looking at the mailbox to see if they're going to drop me off something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's that kind of, I feel like I'm a kid again when you're going to the either the spinner rack at the grocery store or to the LCS to get comics with your buddies.
Dude, that's 100%. Like, I know that sound of my my mail person's truck idling outside my house because most of these books don't fit inside of my mailbox, so they have to like bring them right up to the door, which is even better for me. But I know that sound when that mail truck is idling outside the house. I know what that sounds like, and I'm like, oh shit, a fucking book's here, you know. And nothing will beat that feeling. Like you said, that is the exact same feeling I used to get from the comic book shop on a Wednesday fucking morning when you're like looking at the clock like, God damn it, is it 10 a.m. yet? Fuck, we got 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Oh, here he comes, you know. He's about to open the door.
Yep,
that is
exactly
the feeling.
right.
That is exactly the same feeling.
That's a hardcore, bro. I was just a Wednesday afternoon guy. That is fucking hardcore to be a Wednesday morning guy.
Oh, dude, I used to have Wednesdays. I used to have Wednesdays and Sundays off. Those were my 2 off days, and it was basically set up that way. Sundays you go to church. Wednesdays you go to the comic book store, and I get up and I go to the comic book store, and I'd fill up my basically spend all the loose change that I had, and I'd hang out at the comic book shop, and I'd BS with the workers there, and then afterwards I'd take them to the local bar, and I'd sit at the bar and I'd read comic books and I'd get drunk all day.
To invoke the immortal words of Snoop Dogg, church. Preach.
That's right. But man, that's what it's about. I mean, Nick, he fucking nailed it. It's that revitalization of what you used to feel like. You know, towards the end, I never felt that way. I just, I'd go to the comic shop maybe once a month and I'd pick up what I had in my pull. And even then, like, I'd sit there, those books would probably sit there till the next week. And then I might read them before I, picked up the new batch or whatever. But it wasn't exciting anymore. I didn't really give a shit about what was there waiting for me. But now I back these books. And honestly, a lot of times I forget about them until that mail truck pulls up. And the way it's been lately is about once a week I get a new CG book. And that's good enough for me. You get one CG book is worth 25 to 50 of those mainstream books that you pull off the shelf for half or a quarter of the price.
Because I'm going to reread the CG books. I'm not going to care about the mainstream books.
Exactly.
Because the story's going to be trashed. I'm going to have ink all over my hands, so I'm going to be mad. I'm usually going to tear the book up or just throw it away. Because I don't like, if I want to keep trash around, I'll start hoarding newspapers. It's got a better chance of killing me instantly when it falls on me because there's piles of it everywhere. That's going to be that mindset because, that was when IDW started Shattered Glass, which was like one of the big last series that they did of Transformers that I actually cared about. The last couple issues that came out, it was a nightmare as far as the ink goes. Like it's still not dry, and this is like 5 years later. It still will get on your hands and stuff, and I'm just to the point where it's like I'm going back out and trying to find, because they put them all together in perfect bound I guess graphic novels or omnibuses or whatever you want to call it. I'm going back out and trying to find those now, so I'm having to rebuy stuff I already have because of poor quality and poor printing practices and stuff like that. That's not acceptable. To me, it's not anyways. I mean, I like to think of myself as somebody who'll give somebody a lot of slack and stuff like that. But when you don't fulfill on promises that you made as far as a printing quality or something like that, I'm not going to be your most ardent and enthusiastic fan.
I like how you came up with the ardent. That's just what I was thinking.
This thing right here, the demon creatures in the back, they've got I don't know, I've been trying to figure out where I had seen something that looks like them. They remind me, if you've ever seen the old Voltron cartoon from back in the back in the 80s, when at the very end when it talks about the dark forces and the demons coming out, that's what they look like in the cartoon and everything. And I'm hearing Peter Weller's voice in my head right now, doing the thing for Voltron as he talks about the lions and everything. So that's really cool. I like that. I like this page. It's very, very well done and very, very pretty.
Yeah, this is gorgeous. So Peter, when you do your pages, like you do all of these anyway, you need the traditional form, pen and ink, and then do you scan them and color them?
Yeah. These ones scanned and colored. I mean, the stuff I did on Tug's book, the Ashcan, that's all like traditional colors and traditional. Everything's on the page, traditionally. But no, these ones, inked, penciled, inked, and then scanned and colored, lettered.
Dude, absolutely gorgeous. I know we talked a little bit about this before we went live, but your black and whites are just they're jaw dropping, man.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to add a second stage of negotiation there. I'm like, do I only get the left-hand page or do I get them both?
Oh, no, this goes out as one. This can't be separated. It goes out as one, of course.
Sold.
Job done, sir. Job done. Your name's on this one.
Sold, brother. I'll get
I'm assuming Gat wants the
yeah, apparently it does.
I like the turtle too as the thing, so I don't know.
I was thinking turtle, but if I can get both of these, I will get an extra wide
dude,
frame.
no, yeah, you can't separate a double page.
I'll get an extra wide frame and hang it proudly in the pool room, brother.
Yeah, it just needs because it's it's been sat around for a while, so it needs.
I'm gonna hang you right next
together again.
I'm gonna get you framed up and hang you right next to Donald on my wall of fame.
Excellent.
I got to work with that dude, that limey fuck.
Yeah, I know. And then he announced Brutus 2 today. So
yeah,
he did.
Yeah. Interesting. With
he's doing cash grab.
Yep.
Cash grab, yeah.
He's going to be too big for all of us after cash grab, but I'm stoked for him to. Yeah, but I'm stoked for him to. I mean, I'm sure Brutus will be. Without NASA dragging him down, that's going to be great.
Well, yeah, we don't want to talk about NASA, do we?
Yeah, we don't want to talk. We don't want to bring something so sour into this nice conversation.
No.
What's your favorite dude, Peter?
Yeah, well, whatever.
So, Gat, do you have anything that you want to end this on?
Just basically that this thing I'm working on with Peter, it's going to be fucking amazing. It's like I said, my first kind of dip into the horror. We're doing it my way. It's not going to be your traditional horror comic book by any means. It's going to be a little bit different, man. Imagine if Vestige was written as a horror. This is what you got with ELYSIAN Minds.
Turtle book.
Turtle book, yeah. Well, this will be called the Turtle book. Then the next bit it'll be called what? The Stag book. But I'm not
It'll be,
saying no more.
yeah. I mean, hard. Yeah, it's hard telling, really. I mean, we're gonna see the beast at the end there that we just saw. You know, the black and whites that you just had on the screen. You know, there's a whole list of kind of cast of characters that we're gonna introduce with this thing. So yeah, man, it's gonna be wicked.
Yeah. And it might seem like we've shown quite a bit of it, but we haven't. Even in these 12 pages, there is the stuff, the thing.
And one other tidbit I could leave you with. So when we're looking at what's going to happen in the magazine, the 12 pages, some of it actually happens on Plum Island. Anyone who's familiar with what Plum Island is, they're gonna be like, okay, now I'm really interested. So this is where this takes place. At least most of the scenes at the beginning do take place there. So
Plum Island.
Yeah, Plum Island, secret biological weapons programs during the Cold War, just off the coast of New York.
Yeah, it's up in Connecticut. Yep. That's where they made
next
Lyme
thing,
disease.
yeah. Looking into biological weapons. The next thing you know, the Montauk monster washes up on the shores of Long Island. Yeah. Just stuff. Spoilers.
oh, I love that page. Oh fuck, I love that page.
Oh, this one, yeah.
Yes, I love this page.
I can't
This
even
is
remember what the script said, but I just thought, let's make it some dude's desk with the files on.
Yeah.
This was amazing. Peter was amazing when he did this. Like, we were sitting here trying to figure out how to convey, obviously, whatever's on this page, right? And then we just had a hard time. It was like, well, do we really want to take 2-3 pages to kind of do what we're doing here? Or he kind of find a way to combine it all into one, make it the desktop. So it was brilliant move by Peter, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, having to research how the Beast of Montauk, that thing, researching that. Thanks, Gat.
It's kind of creepy, huh? Welcome to my world, Peter.
Horrible. The photographs of that thing are like, what?
Welcome
this
to my
is
world,
the thing,
Peter.
though. So in this IP, this project, we're going to introduce all these fucking creepy things, man. Like, as creepy as it gets. I mean, it's going to get a lot worse than the Montauk monster. That's for damn sure.
Man, like I said this earlier. We've talked to you with pretty much every book that you've got in CG Jumpstart, and now I think that this one is my absolute favorite. I cannot wait to see more of this book. It's
the whole idea behind it is just crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's creepy.
Well, I was like, how am I going to outdo myself with Vestige? I am in love with Vestige. It's my first ever thing I've ever done. I'm obviously going to love it the most, right? Well, then Bullet Maker came along. Well, I kind of, at this point, I'm in the midst of it, and I was just saying the other day how much I love it just as much, if not more than Vestige. Well, now here's this thing, right? And it's like, this is the third most attention that all my projects I put into this, and the more I get into this thing now, it's like, fuck, maybe I love this thing the most. You know what I mean? Like, it's really hard, man. I guess it's a good thing.
it's definitely a good thing.
Right.
And like we were saying privately, well, talking, it's like the possibilities of where this story can lead, and some of the creatures, and it's mind-boggling. And I think once we get further into it, people are going to be like, "Wow,"
Yeah, the storylines of Vestige are pretty well defined. I mean, nobody knows them yet, other than Gat and myself. The storylines of Bullet Maker, the same. This thing could go in a lot of directions, and
it will go a lot of directions. Actually,
that's what I was about to say. Fuckhead, like fucking being your editor is like having a perpetual state of whiplash.
I feel like that's got to be the best analogy, man. Like, I feel bad for you sometimes, Steve, because I can only imagine what working with Gat is like when you got to lead all these strings in the right direction.
He tears me in all the best directions.
Well, that's how you know it's going to be good because, like you said, like yeah, he's tearing you in all these directions, but they're all the best directions.
They're all the best directions. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's amazing, dude. Got something else.
They don't call him.
To be able to,
Don't call him the
type
wizard
it up.
for nothing. So I was
Yeah.
going to say they don't call him the wizard for nothing. You know.
Dude, it's my privilege to have to like type really fast and be like, stop, wait a minute, and then I'd be like, no, Steve, I can't stop, and I'm like, fuck, whatever, bro, I'll get what I can. That's what I do.
Pan is right. I am a slave driver. I am.
Well,
As I feel like as lucky as people are to work with you, yes, it must be a goddamn chore.
Well, nah. I
Not
like
for
to
me.
think I would say ask Peter. I mean,
No.
it's been pretty effortless for me and Peter.
Yep.
Me and Sim fight like cats and dogs. About Crash Course, like Crash
That
Course.
fight
Yeah.
with Sim like cats and dogs. That's
Goddamn
just Sim's
Sim.
nature.
Yeah,
Goddamn
maybe
Sim.
that's it, right? Maybe it's just the way Sim is, man. But
That's
it's
Sim's
just, yeah.
fucking
Yeah,
nature.
Me and
Sim.
Joe, we are like one. We are like fucking, I don't know, man. It's like I met the dude who knows exactly what I'm trying to do and he expands on it, right?
Yeah,
And then with
Joe's kind of
Doodle,
like,
Doodle's
ahead,
just like I give him these ideas, and it's not that he doesn't do anything to change on them, but he brings exactly what I want, and then he does offer these little tiny things that maybe I haven't even thought about, right? But it makes such improvement with what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Doodle's good about the small stuff, like he's attention to detail, man. He's great.
I'll break it down. Doodle and Peter are not the same dude, but they're kind of like the same dude, and then it's just like they bring stuff to it, and it's like so flowing and easy, and I'm just like, I like talking to that guy. And then you got Sim and Joe. Now with Joe, I totally like talking to that guy, but he's like Gat number 2, where I have to, I'm like, fuck, let me open up a separate page for all the shit that you're coming up with. And then later on, because Gat will be going, and then Joe will be like, yeah, here's what the lost chapter of the Bible said about this. And I'm like, fuck, that's deep. I need to make a note. And then Sim's just fucking Sim. He's yelling about drawing mechanical monkeys and whatever the fuck. And I'm just like, Jesus.
I saw that mechanical monkey.
I've
Which,
never
you know,
had any of
we're
these
taking
problems
shots
with
at Sim.
Sam.
I was gonna say we're taking shots at Sim right now, but I mean, honestly, he's great to work with too.
Yeah, I'm not seriously
on
taking
jokes, like,
Sim's fucking
we
great.
do kind of have the whole back and forth. I think it's just his nature, right? And it's kind of mine too. So it's kind of like a brotherly thing. But yeah, all these guys, they're a little different to work with, but I suggest anyone out there who's looking to do a book is to go hire all 4 of them because they're fucking amazing.
No,
Yeah.
we're keeping these guys busy. But find you an artist that's like these guys that we're talking about, and it is invigorating and inspiring to work with a guy like Peter, to work with a guy like Joe Ball, to work with a guy like Simon Sim Portier, a French Canadian pain in the ass. Or, like Doodle. We found Doodle, out in the dumpster behind, some fast food joint. And, dude, he's like such a pleasure. And he does, again, I'd say he's a little like Peter in that Doodle will be like, yeah, but what about this? And then you're like, yeah. Peter's more seasoned. He's more developed. But Doodle's, Doodle's like Peter Jr., except that Doodle might be my kid because I was in Minnesota back in the 90s. I don't know. Anyway.
See, I was going to leave that alone, but.
It's best if we do. Yeah, I think we firmly established it ain't me, bro. It ain't me. But, it's great to work with artists of this caliber. And there's a bunch of great guys out there. I'm going to throw a call back to Liam. Liam found this 18, 19-year-old kid, and where the hell is he? Greece or something?
Greece.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
Greece.
I mean, there's the interaction between bringing ideas of the imagination to fruition can be a tremendous way to get through these days in our life on this earth. So, hell, brothers.
Hail to that.
Hail.
I feel like that's a perfect place to end this off. We do have a wild Kemp in the chat. Stephen Kemp, he says, if you're tearing, you need to use more lube.
A wild Kemp is a rare sighting these days.
It is a rare sighting.
And that's good life advice.
It is good life advice. Hell, Kim. Stay safe.
It is good life advice.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on with us tonight. This has been, again, one of the most fantastic shows I think that we have had. I cannot wait to see more of Elysian Minds inside CG Jumpstart when that launches, hopefully next month.
We're thinking end of February we'll be able to do it.
All right.
So yeah, I think that's around the time. I mean, it's basically ready to go now. There's a couple little things to kind of finish up. I'm going to go over all my projects one more time, just to be, for sure this is what I want to put in there. But it's essentially done, ready to go, ready to print. So as soon as we launch, yeah, man, brothers, 2 months later, you should start getting your jump starts. So end of February, maybe if we can get it all sooner, we will try. But I'm thinking right now, end of February, we're going to be shipping Vestige into January. So yeah,
cool.
Excellent. Yeah, it's not. Brian the Observer just showed up and he dropped the link for Vestige. It is not too late to get your copy of Vestige if you have not already. I guarantee you're going to want to do that, and look forward to CG Jumpstart in the next month or so.
Yep.
So, hail, brothers. Hail to the chat. Thank you all for joining us this evening. It has been one hell of a ride. We have been all over the place. But that's what happens when you get Gat on stream. You never know where it's going to go.
Welcome to my world. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
No, thank you guys. Like I said, it's a high honor to have you guys on stream talking about these quality projects that we have to look forward to in CG Jumpstart. Until next time, we were talking about Doodle Bags a little bit earlier. He will be on the weekend woke-up call this Saturday, so tune into that for some more D-bag action. You won't want to miss it. Good night and hail, everybody.
Hail.
Yeah.
Hell.